And good day and welcome to episode 3 of WEDCOnomics, brought to you by our partner Wolfeboro Community TV and Wentworth Economic Development Corporation. Thank you for joining us. We have an exciting show today. I think it will be insightful for many of you. And I would like to welcome our special guest, Executive Director Josh Arnold of Maker's Mill.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
It's a little hairy there.
Yeah, I got a little lost there for a second.
That's all right. We're behind schedule, but that's okay. Josh, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk today about your project, and it's called Maker's Mill, and it's located on Bay Street in Wolfeboro.
You got it. We're neighbors.
Yeah, many of you have driven by it and probably said, what is Maker's Mill? And it's a community makerspace and vocational hub.
You got it.
Right? So I remembered all that, so I'm impressed.
Nice.
But I'd like to go take a step back on this and just talk, first of all, where did this concept of Maker's Mills or community worker spaces, where did that come from?
Well, it has evolved really from, I like to say our origin story starts with a potluck supper about 15 years ago. And we brought some people together and asked a very broad question about how can we make a positive difference in the community. And that really was what started the organization GALA, Global Awareness, Local Action. And as you know, we morphed into Maker's Mill. But, it was that first potluck got people excited in the early days around supporting local agriculture and community gardens, energy conservation efforts. So we were, doing programs in those areas for about a decade. And then one of the sort of programs that really seemed to resonate with the community was hands-on educational classes. So we started doing things like bicycle repair or, how to build a raised garden bed or compost bin or basic mending. And those were really popular. And we, at that point, hadn't really heard about the maker movement or anything. We were just doing classes. But eventually we did catch wind of this whole maker movement, and we were like, wow, that looks a lot like what we're doing. And so we got really curious, and then the more we sort of investigated and dug into it, we went on a couple field trips to visit other maker spaces, and the more we learned, the more excited and kind of jazzed we got about starting our own. And when we looked at a map of New Hampshire, there were a few maker spaces sort of in southern New Hampshire. There was one or two north, but there was this big hole basically right here in sort of Carroll County, Belknap, Lakes region, and so we were just well positioned to fill that gap and that need, and I can go on and on about how that happened.
So
that's how it started.
You're not the only makerspace in the country. There was a movement. It continues to this day.
Oh yeah. It's global.
So is this podcast.
Yeah, perfect. Got maker spaces all over the world probably chiming in.
So, all right. So that's sort of the genesis of how this makerspace got here.
Right. And
sort of how it's a movement that started somewhere, who knows where, right?
Yeah, it's funny, the concept isn't anything new, right? People have been sharing tools and workspaces for millennia, somebody's garage or, basement or whatever, and I like to think of it as there's a maker space or maker ecosystem, right? There are these shared spaces, you'll find them all over the place. But, what we are is a real established, dedicated, public makerspace.
Okay, so what would you describe as, what are the goals of having a makerspace? What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, one of the things that I really love about it is its sort of multifacetedness. I love that, there's a wood shop, there's a metal shop, there's a fiber art studio, there's a fine art studio, there's digital design and fabrication, there's electronics and robotics. There's all these different, areas and tools and equipment and learning opportunities to explore. And really, those are sort of a platform or, a medium for supporting people on their personal and professional paths. And so for some people that means, career pathways or transitions. For other people that means, an entrepreneur like trying to start a business and gives them a space to prototype or build a business, work with WEDCO to, build a business plan. And for other people, it's really to find a path, let's say like in retirement, like what is the, passion I want to pursue now after, on the other side of my like quote unquote professional career. So it's really trying to meet people where they're at and support them in essentially realizing their goals.
So it could be considered a part of someone's professional development.
Absolutely.
It could be considered an outlet for somebody to indulge a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how does the average person access Maker's Mill?
Well, a good plug we give public tours every Friday morning at 10 o'clock.
Which I've been on.
Which you have been on, 10 to 11:30. I go through sort of this brief history of how we got here and the building construction renovation, and then we walk through the space in each room and talk about the logistics of membership and events. So every Friday at 10 o'clock and also the first Saturday of every month at 10. The other best place to go is our website, makersmill.org. So there's a lot to learn there also.
So is this a membership situation?
Thank you for asking. Membership is part of it, but right now one of the biggest and most popular ways to engage is just from the ongoing events. And so all of our events are open to the public. And you can be a member or non-member, it doesn't matter. You go to our website, go to the events tab, and you'll see a whole list of different classes and events and opportunities. Membership is another way to use the space, and when a lot of people think about makerspaces, they think of the membership sort of way to use it. It looks a lot like a gym. So, once you become in our case, a shop member, you get a key fob to the building and you can have access to the space 24/7. Now, you probably a lot of things going through your head when I say that, because that's a lot of responsibility. There are,
yes, it is.
Table saws and acetylene torches. So it doesn't mean that you have immediate permission to use all of the tools. Access to the tools is really on a tool-by-tool basis. So someone has to go through the necessary training to get signed off on each tool that requires training. We don't have required training for like the pastels or the beading or something like that, but certainly for a lot of the tools there's a process. And there's also for that membership level there's also a mandatory orientation that you have to go through just to learn our policies and procedures and etiquette around basically using a shared space.
So, what is the cost of a membership on an annual basis? So people have an idea.
Yeah, great. So there's two levels of membership. There is Maker Member, which is sort of the first tier, if you will, and that is $35 a month. And that gets you discounts on all of the classes and events that are offered. So when you go to our events page, you'll see a member price and a non-member price.
Okay.
As a Maker member, you get that discount. You also get access to something I didn't mention, which is our tool library. So in addition to tools that you can use on site, we have tools that you can check out, just like you would check out a book at the library.
Really?
So a maker member gets you access to that.
So I could go there and check out a screwdriver.
You could, yeah. And
That's
actually,
good, because I was looking for one.
perfect. We've got one. Yeah, and actually, we're putting together these like little kits, like for example, like a drywall kit. So if you have a little drywall project at your house over the weekend, there's a whole, for this little project, there might be 20 different little like tools or whatever that you might need, and so we'll have a little bucket drywall kit. You can check it out for the weekend. Plumbing kit. You got to do some sink repair, whatever. So that's
awesome.
Isn't that fun?
Because how many of us have done a little project and had to buy a ton of stuff,
right,
that just sat in a closet or the garage after, right?
Right.
And then eventually you finally throw it out.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fun. So yeah, maker members get access to the discounts, the tool library. There's some classes and events that have, because they fill up fast, we do like advanced sort of notification to members. Like they get to a sign-up window ahead of non-members, basically.
This is at the $35 a month level?
Yep. And there's more listed on our website. What it doesn't get you is a key fob. So it's not 24/7 access to the building. It's just access during the scheduled classes and events and those other sort of amenities. The other membership level is a shop member, and that's the key fob to the building, 24/7 access, plus all of the benefits I just mentioned with the maker membership, and that's $65 a month. Both of these have, annual. If you want, you can do it monthly. And they also have, like, if you want to get a year pass, you get a little discount or something like that. So, yeah, there's options, and you can like sign on for a few months and then take a month off and sign back on, or whatever.
Yeah. You mentioned events, and so or learning opportunities, and those are listed on the website makersmill.org. But just give me an idea of some of the offerings that you have out there, and sort of what is the price range to attend some of these things.
Great. Yeah, so it really does like run the whole spectrum. So for example, we have a fiber mingle, which is free. We have a bunch of events that are just free and open to the public. One of them being a fiber mingle. So people come in and work in the fiber art studio on some mending project, or whatever, knitting or whatever it might be, in the weaving or in the fiber art studio.
So that's what fiber arts is, because I didn't know.
Yes, yeah, it's anything to do with fiber and thread and sewing.
So
and
you're
weaving.
telling me you have a loom?
We have 4 looms.
Not 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually,
and so you have classes on how to.
Absolutely.
How to
we
loom?
just had one 2 nights ago. There was a start of I think it's a 3-part series called Learning the Joy of Weaving. And we have a really phenomenal team of instructors and volunteers in there. Heidi and Bobby in particular, setting up those looms. It's really interesting. I had no idea how involved it was actually in setting it up, and it's incredible.
Well, I think you have to use all 4 limbs, right?
Yes.
At the same time.
Yeah,
those days may be past for me.
It looks like, oh yeah, I mean, not just the coordination piece, but the patience piece. I mean, there's just a lot of just very like fine detail, and each, the threads can't like cross, and I don't know. I'm sure I'm not even using the right like language here, but so there's like weaving classes, and there's like open sort of bike bench night. So that's just a sliding scale donation kind of thing, where you can come in and get your bike, work with others to get your bicycle tuned up. We have a fully operational bike repair bench. Last weekend, we had our first of a monthly, what we call Repair Cafe, which I'm really excited about. I've been excited to offer this to the community for a lot of years.
Sounds like food, so I'm excited.
There was food at the end, but it actually is this. It's this program where you bring in, people can bring in broken household items, and we'll try to fix it.
Really?
So we had over the weekend when somebody brought in a food processor, a chair, a stained glass piece, a hairdryer, a little bench thing on casters, some curtains, all this whole like eclectic collection of broken household items came in the door, and we did our best to fix it. And I think we had like a probably like a 90% success rate.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think there was only like two items that were a total fail.
So I got this hose at home, right? And it's split right where the end of the hose is, so the water comes out like this.
I've been there.
Is this something that can get
perfect?
fixed?
That's the perfect example. Bring that in next month. Last Sunday of every month. Okay. Bring it in.
I will do that.
Yeah, Repair Cafe. So I guess back to your question, yeah. So like the Repair Cafe, that's a sort of sliding scale thing. So we have a lot of like these sort of sliding scale free events. We have some classes which are like $20, or like sewing 101, or card making night. Last night they were doing a light up your card night. So it kind of like is leveling up your card making skills. So they're like embedding these little like LED lights and circuits in a greeting card. So like you press a button and it like lights up.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. So people are learning like circuitry and all this stuff while they're just making a some kind of holiday card. And then we have like on the other side of the spectrum, there's like learning to weld, and that's like $150 or $120. And then we've had like a 6-week watercolor series, which was in the 100 and something range. And so there's a wide range.
So there's, just by your description of what's going on inside that building on Bay Street, you have to have a fairly large contingent of volunteers and trainers, and where did you find all these folks?
That is a great question. We do have a phenomenal network and team of dedicated volunteers, and I am just constantly floored by their passion and generosity. It really is moving to witness. And yeah, I mean, I think,
are these older folks or younger folks or a mix?
It's a mix. It's a mix, which I think is pretty cool.
So they all come in there with a certain passion, a certain love for a certain vocation, and they're willing to share that passion and their knowledge.
That's it. And I think, we have, I won't go into our whole organizational structure, but, each shop space has their own committee, what we call a circle. So there's a wood shop circle, a fiber art circle, a metal shop circle, etc. And we limit those to 5 people, and those 5 people make the decisions within their domain. So I do think that, by design, we've granted a fair amount of autonomy and ownership for those individuals to make decisions in their space. And I think that makes a difference. Like, I think, it's not just coming in and being told what to do. It's coming in and saying, this is our vision. Do you want to be part of helping us get there? And then granting them the sort of, again, autonomy to decide how to get there.
So they could come up with their own version of training programs or events that they feel would be valuable within that circle of focus.
That's right. And they're also deciding on, the floor plan layout, the tool priorities, the SOPs, the standard operating procedures for each tool. Like they meet regularly. Most of them meet at least once a month, if not once a week sometimes. And yeah, they really run the show, not me.
Fascinating. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I saw on your sign out front, 3D printing?
Yes. Yep.
You have a 3D printer?
We have 3D printers. 3D printers.
So those are not cheap to operate. So the user would have to pay, right? I mean, because there's all that.
So you're
material.
touching on our consumables and tooling policy. So all of the tools and all makerspaces have to grapple with how to manage consumables and tooling. So this is the drill bits, the
See
thread.
how I get there, folks? See the
Exactly.
insightful questions.
Yeah, I mean it's something that I don't think there's a secret formula. All the makerspaces kind of grapple with it, but yeah, how do you manage the thread, the 3D filament, the plywood stock, the screws and nuts and bolts and blades and all the things. And I mean it's really a case by case basis. So in some instances there is a unit price for if you want to use a 8-foot piece of angle iron stock, and sometimes we'll stock that and you can buy that from us and use it. A lot of times, I mean, in general, our communication with members is like bring in your own consumables or stock. If you want to build a birdhouse, like you're going to the lumber yard and picking up the wood and bringing it in, and you can do your cuts here and then take carry in, carry out kind of a thing. But it's also sort of the like take a penny, leave a penny concept where like we do have a bunch of nuts and bolts and screws on site, and those are for members to use up. They're there. That's what they're for. But the idea is like when that, whatever screw like runs out, don't come like knocking on my office door to replace it. Just go to the hardware store and grab it and then maybe get some extra and leave it for the next person.
So sort of a camper's rules for a makerspace.
Yeah, there are.
How are people doing with the camper rule? Are they pretty good?
So far, so good. Yeah. I mean, there's always gray areas. Like, for example, we don't want necessarily anybody to put any kind of filament in that 3D printer. We kind of want to protect the quality of filament that is running through that 3D printer. So in some cases, we, stock and supply when it's like a proprietary consumable or it's going to impact the quality of operation of that machine. Like only a certain blade can go in our, saw stop table saw or something like that. So there's a bunch of like gray areas and we're sorting it all out. We've only had our doors open for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So there's still a very steep learning curve that we're on.
Are you bullish on the future of Makerspace?
Oh, yeah.
Makers Mill?
Absolutely. Oh, we're just getting started.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
Well, so where do you see things 5 years from now with the Makers Mill?
Well, I mean, I'd love to see all of our, programs continue to grow and our volunteer network continue to thrive. We have some really great, like, budding programs that I hope are more established in the next 5 years. We have a really cool partnership with the Carroll County 4-H happening right now, where they're offering like youth robotics programming, and they're trying to start like a first Lego robotics league, and there's some really cool partnerships there. We're also working on establishing like an adaptive arts program for young people and teenagers with autism. To come use the space, and really excited about that program. We have a couple like sort of targeted like maker meetups that we're working on. So we just had our first veteran maker meetup. We are planning to have like a BIPOC maker meetup, LGBTQI maker meetup. I hope to see those thrive in the future. We also have some plans for a phase 2 construction, underway.
Yeah.
Because of the cost of the project, we had to break it up into 2 phases. We completed phase 1, which is what would see now in a tour, but we have plans for phase 2, which isn't as dramatic as phase 1 was, but it addresses some of the things that we had to put off, like some of the site work and parking and grading, and reworking our sort of classroom space, our meeting space, and our digital design space, and doing some energy efficiency upgrades. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about those opportunities. I'm really excited about, really the WEDCO collaboration and partnership. I think having a more established path for entrepreneurs to be clear on how they can use the space and partner with WEDCO to really, essentially we're going to together be offering this, what I picture as a full suite of services for somebody to take an idea and turn that into a full-fledged, successful business.
At no cost to them?
Well, you tell me. How's that work?
No, it's if we're successful with what we're trying to do here, which is it's an if, but hopefully we are.
Right.
Then really, Maker's Mill goes beyond where they're at right now, and it really becomes a development center for folks who want to go into business, who want to or do own a small business, or want to get there.
Right.
If things go as we hope, that's going to be possible.
That's right. And the other thing, one of the things I'm most excited about with Makerspaces is just the ways that they can support other community initiatives. One of my favorite examples is this makerspace out west that partnered with a local conservation group to build these turtle crossing signs, at these specific locations, so it was that conservation group. They knew they needed these signs in the space, but they didn't have, a wood shop or a CNC machine to do that, but they partnered with their, makerspace. Or
that's cool.
Right now we're working, there's some partnership kind of organic collaboration happening with the Abenaki Lookout Tower is celebrating, gosh, I want to say it's a centennial or something like that, and they're using our space to make these mugs and different celebration items or whatever to mark that whatever.
That's awesome.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity like that. I've seen makerspaces partner with the municipality in creating little employee awards or plaques or something like that. So just using the makerspace being seen and utilized as a resource for the community, and that kind of connector is
so
really
you could
cool.
potentially partner up with Link with what's going on over there or whatever.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of that's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And as you mature and develop, I'm sure you're going to see more and more of it.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is, I think the success of Maker's Mill is in the best interest of our community over here in Eastern Lakes region. You don't have to live in Wolfeboro to be a member or participant.
No.
So the same service area as WEDCO, Eastern Lakes region of New Hampshire. What do we need to do to ensure, we as a community, to ensure the sustainability of Maker's Mill?
Well,
do you accept donations?
I'm asking. Never asked. Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So, tax deductible donations is at the moment how our greatest revenue stream and what we need to do to keep the doors open. We hope and plan and strategize to build our, membership dues and, event registration and all those kind of partnerships, building that revenue stream. But at the moment, we are predominantly dependent still on donations. So we do like a spring annual fundraising drive. We have a fall fundraising drive. We have a couple events. We do an annual tool sale, which is a fun, like, kind of rummage tool sale. So yeah, and I think, so donations are huge, and we apply for still grants and that kind of thing, but also just spreading the word. Spread the word. Tell your friends, come to the tour, share it on social media.
Would you accept donations of tools and such?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Particularly for that rummage sale?
Exactly. What we do is we accept most tools, and then we'll cull through it, and we'll keep what we think we need in the shop, and then we'll sell the rest.
All right. Guess what, folks?
This was fun. That flew by.
I know, right? Right? Josh, thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Thanks for telling us about Maker's Mill.
Thanks for having me.
Fascinating. I remember when you started Gala a long time ago, and I said, who is this guy, Josh Arnold? Well, here he is now, and he's got a true maker space, and interesting evolution for Gala.
Yeah, it has been.
And so thanks for coming on. And folks, I'm Jack Terrill, Executive Director of Wentworth Economic Development Corporation. We loan money to small businesses. We do business advising for small businesses, and we promote the small business sector here in the Eastern Lakes region. Thanks to our partner, Timothy, Wolfeboro Community TV. You know what, folks? It's okay to donate to Wolfeboro Community TV, too. They're a 501c3. Huge asset to the community. $25, $50, $100. Send some support along so that we can ensure sustainability both for Wolfeboro Community TV, Maker's Mill, and hey, we're a 501c3 too. All right, folks. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.